Um, Blue Rose says, I'm glad you stick up for Chinese democracy. There's some great stuff on there. There really is. I think Street of Dreams is really a hidden gem. Prostitute, This I Love, Better, the title track as well, Chinese Democracy, man. One of my most played tracks, in all honesty. But speaking of Guns N' Roses, the next guitar we're going to review here is one that, man, this one right here is my number one. This is my Slash Gibson Les Paul November Burst. This is the most I've ever spent on a guitar. Well, I spent more on a guitar one other time that I never received. If you don't know that story, I'll go and give that story. Back in 2002, right before, about 2 years before I gave up the guitar, and this really did me in a great deal, was I ended up going and ordering a Gibson custom shop guitar. And it was about $3,000 at that time, okay? And I had it all tricked out with some really hot pickups, a Floyd Rose in it, a piezo in it, all that stuff. Basically, it has the aesthetics of what the guy from Rush, what's his name? Alex Lifeson. It was basically like that, but hotter pickups, okay? Very similar to what these would have done. I think I asked for DiMarzios to be put in there because that's what Eddie Van Halen was using at the time. And it was also red, solid red. And they were even going to do part of the fretboard in red and all that stuff. Really cool. And the story goes with that guitar is I ended up going and placing the order, and you had to do it by filling out these cards. You had to go and ask for a card and all that stuff that they'd mail to you. You go and you fill it out with all the appointments you want on it. And then they email you and they also send you in the mail a picture of a mock-up of what this guitar is going to look like. And then you finalize that. And so I ended up saving up for, I worked a second job for a long time just for that guitar. And they said it's usually going to be about 6-7 months. And I was like, okay, not a big deal. Not a big deal. It's a custom order. I want it done right and all that stuff. And that's not, now you're seeing custom orders that take a couple of years and all that stuff. Well, about 9 months passed, and it's like I haven't heard anything back. So I go and and they say, yeah, we're finishing up your guitar for you, and all that. And I was like, okay, and they said it should be ready in 2.5 weeks, somewhere around there. So I go and it's like, all right, cool. I can't wait to get this thing. And so another month goes by, and it's like, okay, I haven't gotten tracking number or anything. And they're like, yeah, sorry, we're behind and all this stuff. And I'm calling the Gibson offices, where it is that, you put all this in because like I said, this was all kind of mail order and all that stuff at the time. And so I knew I was getting it through Gibson and all that stuff. Well, this goes on for a couple of years. And even after I'd given up the guitar, it's like I still paid $3,000 for this thing. Maybe this will get me back into it. And this keeps going on till 2006. And I have a number and all that stuff that they gave me of the guitar and all that stuff to verify who it is I am. But they switched everything over, I think, at that time to digital. And essentially, they started going and hanging up the phone on me when I would call and ask about it and all that stuff. Never got shipped out, to my knowledge. I never received it, and they couldn't give me any answers. And they almost seemed like, well, it's a very sad story that I don't like to repeat. It's very frustrating. Liveween says Street of Dreams is the Best Kevin Costner song and movie, according to Tokay. Tokay's a moron. Don't listen to him. So that really burned me. In 2021, I ended up going to the Gibson garage. Because ever since I was a kid, my dad was always telling me, best guitars are Gibsons. It's definitely a Gibson, and he had, I think he may have even had a Gibson at one point. A Gibson and a Fender Bassman is what my dad used to play through. And he also had a Jazzmaster, I think, as well, in the 70s. And but he'd always tell me, the best of the best is Gibson. And so that's something that always stuck with me. And so I went to the Gibson garage, and I got to play a couple of Gibsons, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to afford one of these ever. But man, these are incredible. I go and I plug them in, and all that stuff. And I'll tell you, the people at the Gibson garage, not the nicest people on the planet. They were people that just acted like they didn't want to be there. You asked them questions about stuff, they didn't want to answer any questions and all that stuff, because I was asking about the Slash Epiphone models, because I didn't see any of those, because I wanted to kind of compare. And they're like, oh, those are discontinued. No, they're not discontinued. They're still being made, I come to find out, after they told me they had been discontinued. That's neither here nor there. But I decided to go and dip into an inheritance that was left for me, because I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a new place, pay an entire year up front in rent. I'm going to go and get myself a new car, and for the reasons of work and all that other stuff, but I needed a toy, and I felt really bad about this, but I said, I want a Slash Les Paul November Burst. Why? Because that era, the User Illusion era, was my favorite. And plus a burst on a Les Paul, man. I mean, there is nothing more Les Paul than a burst. Really. So I ended up going and ordering this on Sweetwater. And the thing that I love about Sweetwater is that when you're going and buying a good guitar, the thing that they let you do is you get to go and choose out of the ones they have. They have some of the finishes are darker, and some of them weigh a little bit more or less, and all that stuff. And it gives you all of that information there. I ended up getting the one with the darkest finish that weighed the most, because I love heavy guitars. This one's 12.3 pounds, I think is what it is. And so, I mean, to me, that just feels like quality. I did not want it delivered to my old place because I lived in downtown. And so I had it sent to my parents' house. I get out of work, and they tell me, okay, you need to come over, your guitar's here. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. Now, in the old channel, we ended up doing an unboxing video of this guitar on my parents' porch. I immediately grabbed my laptop after I got out of work and went down there. And my gosh, my heart was beating 1,000 beats a minute. It really was. And I go and I pull out the case. And it's like, I've never had a case like this. I mean, it's sitting over here to the side, and I'm telling you, man, the case that Gibson's come in, oh my God. You cannot replicate those. I go and I pull it out of the box, and then I go and there's tons of case candy in there. Tons of case candy. And even has this, comes with the strap locks and a leather Gibson strap. And, you know, they give you a bunch of stuff in there. They even give you some of the Slash picks, as a matter of fact. I have never had a guitar that was plecked, totally set up, brand new, and I pull it out of the case, and I strum an A chord. And I go, holy shit, this thing is basically in tune. the hell? I've never had that happen. Never had that experience. The fret action, just incredible. The easiest playing guitar that I've ever played out of the box. I ended up going and recording a song the day that I received this guitar. Do you guys want to hear it? You guys have probably heard it before. And you're not going to believe something in terms of this song. There's something you guys are not going to believe. The first song that I ever recorded on this guitar was Jake Hudson's intro. And I played the rhythm part on here, one take. It's the only thing I've ever recorded. The first time anything was ever one take. I did not need to record anything. And 2 hours after getting this guitar, this track existed. I ended up going and making it Jake Hudson's intro for him. And I also put it on my album Smokin' Neon. But I'll go and play it for you right now. That lead part, though, was played on the Wolfgang, just so you know. The rhythm part is all played on here. Let's try it again. Now that right there was recorded on the bridge, or as it's labeled on the Les Paul, the treble pickup. So. See, the thing with this is this guitar right here. This guitar is so easy to play. So easy to play. And that's one of the things. That's why it is, whenever it is that I go to record, I'm always wanting to go to this guitar first. The thing with these pickups do something that I've never in my life had in a guitar. You remember how I talked about how on cheap guitars, and including the Wolfgang, the neck pickup is just muddy, horrible, basically unusable. Okay? Let's go to the neck pickup on this one. You know what? And as a matter of fact, you really want to get down here into the frets. You know, you get down there, you get this body out of it. Now, last thing that any guitarist ever wants to do is roll down their tone knobs. I'm rolling down mine, and I'm rolling them all the way down. Okay? All the way. Again, guys, I'm a novice. I'm not a great guitarist by any stretch of the imagination. I haven't played really at all in several months, except for a little bit of things here and there. So, you know, don't judge me on the playing. Judge the tone of this guitar. Right here, we have the tone knobs all the way down on this, on the neck pickup, and the guitar's not muddy. Instead, the sound gets amazingly round. This is something that I've never been able to find on any other guitar. This guitar over here is able to take me to many different tonal variations by using the volume and the treble knobs, or the volume knobs and the tone knobs. And I am constantly going and adjusting these. Song after song, every song that I'm playing, they're all in different positions. And it's crazy because with a lot of my other guitars, it's like tone at 10, you know, volume at 10. This one, I'm constantly adjusting all those things. And it does it with so much versatility that you can get so many different tones because of these pickups that are in this guitar. And the thing goes and sustains for days. This thing has the most incredible sustain out of any guitar I've ever had. And I'll tell you, this thing, even though it has Slash on the name, and again, it's only been recent people have really started to see Slash as a blues player. This thing is a blues guitar. I see so many people going and doing reviews on this guitar and they're playing metal. This right here is a blues machine. It really is. And one of the best blues guitars you will ever have. This guitar is so good. Okay? And again, I am not a Slash super fan. This guitar is so good that you always end up hearing about those artists that have the guitar that they've done all of this stuff to, and there's no other guitar that even when it's trying to be replicated, that they cannot get anywhere close to it. Even though it seems that they're doing everything right, it's like, no, it's just that one. That right here is this guitar for me. I'm almost wondering to myself, this thing is so damn good. Did I get something special on accident out of all the ones that were sent out? Are there variations? It's almost like when people talk about 1959 Les Pauls. You've heard Joe Bonamassa go and talk about, well, you know what? You're going to find some really great ones out there, but about 90% of them are going to be garbage. They're not going to sound good. They're not going to feel good. Any of that stuff. This is like that 10% of the 59s. You know, that's where it is that I go and I rank this thing. You know, and plus, this thing is a fucking investment over here. Because Gibson is constantly changing up their line in terms of the finishes of their line, the pickups they put in here. These are the first year they put in not the Seymour Duncans, but the Gibson Pro Buckers. that were originally called slash buckers. I think on this one they are considered slash buckers, but they originally had to go and change them to custom pro buckers. But these right over here, man, I have never heard pickups and pots with this much versatility in my entire life. Never. That sound builds on this thing. You hear that? You don't hear that on many guitars. And listen how this thing cleans up. But man, this is just such a fun guitar to play. It really is. Whenever I pick up this guitar, people always go and say, my Epiphone can smoke any Gibson. I have an Epiphone. I have two Epiphones over here. We're going to be reviewing those. Don't you worry. One is a $1,200 Epiphone. I'll tell you, there's a reason why Gibsons cost $3,000. When you pick it up in your hand, you feel the quality. You feel it. You cannot replicate it with a Gibson. I have a budget line guitar over here. Well, not technically budget, but it's mid-tier. That we're also going to be reviewing. It's the vintage V100, which is a Les Paul style that is made to look like the Greenie and act like the Greenie. It even has the relicking like the Greenie. Okay? So I'm going to compare it to this. Okay? In that review. I'm going to compare it, and we'll take a look at that. But let's see what you guys are saying in the chat over here. Spurg Snake, I feel so bad the Spurg Snake is in here because Spurg just ended up hearing me playing horribly, and that's fine. I always say, I'm a novice, I'm not great, I just have fun. That's it, so, I have great respect for Spurg Snake, as I do the rest of you guys in here, especially Blue Rose and Liveween. He's laughing at me. He said Jake Hudson's intro? Yeah, first song I recorded was actually Jake Hudson's intro, Screaming Eagle. He says, good song. I think I captured lightning on a bottle with that one. I really do. Spurg says, I'm going to have to go back and watch the rest. Yeah, feel free. Morning Spurg. Good morning, Blue. 100% Les Paul has great versatility. 100%. 100%. These pickups in this one are a more modern than most, not like the 59s and all that stuff. The vintage is more 1959, has a little bit more top end. This one over here is the roundest sounding pickup that I've ever heard in my life. And I don't know if it's because of the woods or the pickups or combination of all of those things. I have never heard a guitar that sounded this round outside of a full hollow body that those jazz guys play. You know, this over here, I've recorded songs with this, and I'm going to play you one of the ones that I recorded that I've actually rolled the volume knobs all the way down on. And it is one of my favorite songs that I recorded. I'm going to play that during the break. And it's a song called Texas Storm. So we're going to play that here in just a minute. Blue Rose showing the guitar. He says, I still remember Penny way between Jib and Jake. Still remember Penny way between Jib and Jake. I don't remember. War. I remember Penny. Yeah, because Jake kept sending me pennies through Venmo. It's like, what the hell are you doing, you dumb little bastard? You played well, Jib. Quit being modest. Oh, no. I had bad notes all over the place. Don't stop.